Alright. I'm gonna play a little Azorius Control today. So pretty much, I've played this deck. This is all I've played since like February, maybe even January. I don't know. Either way, I've put in a lot of matches. I'd say probably close to 1,000 matches with this deck. In best of one mostly because I don't have time to play best of three because I am an adult and I have a job. Authority is amazing in best of one. There's so many aggro decks, and I hear a lot of people say like Authority is like meh, like okay, it's not that great of a card, like. But the thing is, like, when you're playing against aggro decks and you gain a life every time a creature comes into play, that adds up real fast, and especially if you get both of them down. I used to play with 3, but I've tried to tweak it so where I draw more cards instead of gain more life. But I remember at one point I had 120 life versus goblins one game, and they still beat me. But normally that was I think that was the only time I lost the goblins, when I had 3 authorities in my deck. But it's mainly in there for Gruul, goblins, Neoform, elves. But elves is a really tough matchup regardless, because they can, unless you get Cage out, they can just continue to search in their deck and beef up their little elves. I hate that deck. I think it's mindless. Same with anything mono red. And believe me, I've tried all these decks. This deck, the reason I like it so much is because every game is different. There's a lot of times I'm just trying to figure out ways to survive, which is challenging and fun. And then my win conditions alter every game. Sometimes people just quit because they get tired of being countered. Sometimes I just have full board control with Teferi and counter spells. Sometimes I get sharks going. Sometimes Dream Trawler takes over. Sometimes Castle Ardenvale takes over. So I have 1 Cage and 1 Rest in Peace for all the graveyard shenanigan decks. Since it's best of one, if you run into one of those, Rest in Peace can just win you the game, hands down. Such a good feeling. Grafdigger's Cage can be really important when their collected companies don't do anything, or when their Muxus doesn't do anything, or any cards that search the deck, or just getting back things versus Croxa, which is one of our more difficult matchups. It's gotten a little better since I put in Cage and Rest in Peace, and then the cast outs help as well. The instant speed to deal with Croxa. Memory Lapse is extremely overpowered. At first I didn't really like it, but it sets them back a turn. They can't play a land sometimes. It's really good in the early game. It's really good when you play it Teferi and you hold it up. I thought about just taking them out and putting it in Saw It Coming, and I still do really like Saw It Coming, but it's just a little bit better. Omen of the Sea is incredible. I'm not sure why everybody doesn't play that card in the list. The ability to scry twice, once when you play it, and then once later on when you're not doing anything, it's such a good thing to be able to find board wipes when you need them, or counter spells, or just get rid of cards you don't need. It's so good. I think it's much better than Behold. Behold, you waste 2 turns just to be able to play it. I mean, Omen, you can play it on turn 2. Obviously, a search for Azcanta to get card advantage. I think 1 or 2 is fine. 1's been fine for me. I'm only playing 2 Narset. I kind of found like I was playing 3 Narset for a while with the 1 commit, and it just kind of felt like overkill. Like I didn't need it, and a lot of times it finds me a card, but then I'm already dead. So like 2 is good because I can find a board wipe when I need it, maybe stall for a turn, or, but it's not like, obviously in the sideboard I play more for best of 3 matchups. Absorb is still really good because you need the life gain in best of 1. Cast out, for multiple reasons I have this in here. This could have been a commit, or another Baffling End, but I just like the fact that it can draw me cards in some matchups, and then in other matchups it can be really, really good, especially when you have Authority going after you Wrath, and you can kind of like, you don't have to play in such a rush to survive anymore. Once Authority's out there, they have to play their creatures, you gain a little bit of life, and then you can cast out on their turn if they don't do anything major, or if they play a big creature like a Questing Beast after you did a board wipe, you know, you gain a life, and then it's tapped, and then you can cast it out on their turn. The next turn, if that makes sense. 5 board wipes. Because I'm playing 5, I always choose 3 Doomskar. If I was playing 4, I'd probably do 3 Wrath and 1 Doomskar. But 5, I really like getting Doomskar down on turn 2 against aggro decks. It's such a huge way to win the game. I used to play Mind Stone to try to ramp up into my Wraths, but this is just such a better way, because another thing that really why Doomskar is better in my opinion is that once you've established it and you get it down, it only costs 3 to do the board wipe later, and so you don't necessarily have to use it right away. And then, you know, you can do things like play a Narset or hold up an Absorb and Wrath when you have 6 lands, or, you know, there's lots of little things. Even with 5 lands, you can hold up a Memory Lapse, or, you know, do different things that you couldn't do with the 4 land Wrath. Obviously 4 Teferis, 3 Sharks. I took out 1 Shark for a Dream Trawler. Dream Trawler is amazing. Once you get it down, especially in a lot of matchups, it's just so good. Such a good card. And it pairs well because I have, you know, ways to draw cards. I did mess around with Censor a little bit just because of Dream Trawler, and Censor was still good. It's still a good card, but I see why Memory Lapse is better. But Censor, it wasn't bad. I was still doing really well with the deck in Best of 1 with this list. I only played 25 lands. It's been fine. I haven't had any issues. Actually, I think my lands are better. Like, whatever system they use, my lands have been better since I had 25 versus 26. Like, when I was having 26, I would have all sorts of mana issues, and at 25, I haven't had any mana issues. Sideboard, added in another Rest in Peace and Cage. I originally had it at 2 Rest in Peace, but I felt like Cage is just too important against a lot of those creature decks that can just search their deck, goblins and elves. And I added in Seal Away. Seal Away is actually really good with Authority, because you can get any creature. And then obviously I have the cast outs, and you can play it on their turn, which is nice. 3 vetoes, so timely just for aggro matchups. 1 Brazen Borrower just as like a way to have a little more advantage in mirror matches in Best of 3. And it's just a good card. Mystical Disputes for, you know, mirror matches or decks that play blue. Another Narset. 2 Saw It Comings. In Best of 3, I'd probably put Saw It Comings in the main board and probably take out my Cage and my Rest in Peace, just to have more counter spells to start off. A 6 Wrath for aggro decks, and then a 4th Shark. So pretty standard, but I do a little different with the Authority. But that's, like I said, that card's been so good that once I started playing it, there's no way I could take it out. It's just, I don't get all the negative talk I've heard on this card. It's such a good card. We're just going to play a little unranked, because I don't feel like playing ranked right now, and I don't have the most time. Sure, let's play ranked, whatever. I don't want to get matched against some nonsense and unranked. I did this before, but I didn't have my mic on, so I had 2 good matchups in a row, 2 incredible hands. Let's see how this starting hand is. It's actually not that bad. Gonna keep it. Wish I had a way to draw cards. It's my only issue with this hand. I guess I'm gonna have to do this on turn 2 if I don't get a land here. Wonderful. There goes that idea. This is what happens whenever I play first, which I feel like rarely happens. I always get matched against Proxy, which is obviously one of my tougher matchups because they mess with my hand. He's smart if he takes the Typhoon. I'm not going to get to Teferi for a while. Baffling End's good too, but I would take the Typhoon. Based on my current hand, at least. If he takes it Teferi, I'm happy. took an absorb. So I'm definitely cycling here. Grixis. I don't really want to play against Grixis. It's not a fun matchup at all. Memory Lapse is good. Where are my lands? If they don't do anything, I'm cycling again, which is bad because I want to be able to save those, but I cannot miss land drops like this. This is terrible. This is what I'm talking about. This is what happens. Like after I said I haven't had any mana issues, but I'm gonna have mana issues. Right, just draw all the cards with no lands. Right. It's pretty bad. This is almost like I already lost. If I win this, it'd be pretty crazy. I do not think so. Hey, that's so weird. Play it again. That's why he was taking absorbs. Still no ways to draw cards from Glorybringer. I'm not as worried about Glorybringer as I am about Chandra. Alrighty, this is terrible though. Like come on, I'm just gonna play this. 3 lands in what? 5 turns? Come on now. That's one of those dumb matchups. You're just like, thanks for letting me go first, but you rewarded me with nothing. Actually, this deck's been really good though. It's the one thing I hate about Magic is it's so much more luck than people give on, especially in best of 1. If I don't draw lands, they just get super lucky and go full on aggro. I don't find board right, or I can't draw cards. Like it's just. Hopefully I get better lands this time. If we're playing aggro, we're gonna drop the Doomskar. If we're I don't know, we might not. We might just go search since we're going first. Let's see. I would like to Omen too. I might actually Omen. Save that for later. Need to find lands again. Hopefully I draw land here and I won't have to worry about land issues. It just depends on what we're playing against. That's not fun. So, I think we're gonna just drop this then. If we're playing against mono blue aggro, I'm not gonna play. It's such a terrible matchup. And I just don't feel like playing against it. This feels like we're going to be playing against Jeskai Control potentially, which is annoying because I don't feel like playing a mirror match. Okay, if we're playing against Arcane Phoenix, then I'm fine. Because I do have a good matchup against that most of the time. As long, I mean, even Authority helps. I have Cage, I have Rest in Peace. As long as I just find some lands, we'll be fine. I mean, this deck is very good though. Whenever it doesn't have land issues, which it never does until right now. There's Phoenix already. Well, that's just wonderful. Give me a land, give me a land. Oh, that's such a good card though. It's such a good card in this matchup. I can't throw that away. It's like one of my few good cards that I need to draw. Jeez. These land issues though, for real. That means I have to deal with it, at least. Like a Brazen Borrower or something. Something to deal with it. Either way, I'm not in good shape because missing land drops, man. This is just terrible. Just terrible. At least it slows them down and they have to deal with it, and they can't just sit here and draw cards like maniacs. I guess they can still draw cards like maniacs. I swear, like, every time I play against this deck, they always have like 3 Faithless Lootings within the first 3 turns. I think it's one of those decks like Wizards really wants to be good right now. Oh, that's a good card too, but we're gonna have to drop that. That's another one. We missed it anyways. Alright. Going for the... gotta find a way. Okay. That's not bad. I really need a blue. That's not bad though. I hate throwing away an Authority. It's such a good card against them. I have another one. They are great. Let's get this party started. Right? I mean, we need it. Yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and field here, kill one of their lands, and drop the Doomskar. Let's drop this. This is one of the reasons why Doomskar is such a good card. So I can do something with it. It's only going to cost me 3, so if I draw a land next turn, then I can... If I had a Memory Lapse, it would be great, but in this case, I'm not really too worried about Drake right now, but it could get bigger quicker, so we'll see. We'll just see. If they don't do too much, I can take 4, but I can see them dropping this. Rest in Peace would be nuts, because then the Drake's a 0/4. That's the best feeling. Yeah, you gotta deal with Cage. And this is an example also where Seal Away is really good, is against this deck. I actually played 3 Seal Away in the main for a while, and honestly I didn't have any issues with it. Like, I liked playing it on their turn. And then them coming in tapped with Authority, or just after they attack. Yeah, Drake's starting to become a little too strong. Definitely need more lands. Yeah. Really can't do too much. I mean, I could board wipe, but I think I'm just gonna wait. I have a Absorb to gain a little life for next couple turns. I really need a 6 land so I can board wipe and then hold up Absorb. Yeah, I'm gonna let that go. I'm more worried about things that are gonna do damage directly to my face. We're able to 6 land, and then we might be able to turn the corner against them. We are at least holding them back with Cage right now. Anything that tries to destroy Cage, we're gonna counter, and we do have a little bit of life gain for a big hit from Drake. But we can't really do this for... I don't know. This is probably the last turn we can wait on the Doomskar unless they don't do anything crazy here. The other thing we can do is if they don't do anything major, then we can Omen and look for land. The other thing is they might have a counter spell, so we want to be able to Doomskar and counter their counter spell. Especially if they're not doing anything here. Practically Drake. No. No. Gain a little life. Maybe it gives us an extra turn, but either way, we need to find land. Big thing right now is land. I could have let that go. That's actually not bad, because then we can Doomskar and hold up the Lapse. And this is again what I was talking about. It's not bad. I mean, I'm really more worried about Drakes than anything at this point, because Phoenixes are useless until they have a way to deal with Cage. So we're getting more cards in the graveyard slowly. I really would like to flip this before I find Rest in Peace. That would be nice. Yeah, they gotta find a way to deal with that Cage. That's what's saving us right now. Probably gonna Faithless Looting here, I would imagine. really need that 6 land. And this is a good example of this deck's resiliency. Not really a big fan of that. I do have Baffling End, so I'm gonna let that resolve. So I can hold up Absorb with Baffling End if I don't find the land. Again though, Seal Away is so good because you know they're gonna swing in with this thing for 4 damage probably. Or at least 2 or 3, and then I could seal it away and not have to worry about it. But you can take a hit here. You're still in a decent position. This deck is very resilient. Like, obviously I had a terrible, terrible draw. Couldn't find lands. Still having trouble finding lands. But we're in a position now where we have a chance to turn it around, depending on what are some of our next few things. Oh yeah, see, that's where we're gonna have to. We have to. We don't have a counter spell. That's good to know. So I'm gonna Baffling End this next turn and then Absorb the Upgrade. And hopefully find the 6 lands here. Yeah, it doesn't have the cards. That's good too. Okay, it's not bad, but we definitely still have to Baffling End it. It's gonna get huge. I am going to let that go. There's the land. There's the land. We're gonna counter the upgrade if they play it, which they're going to, because they'd be stupid not to, because they can't do anything in their deck without the cage there. So we're gonna drop down there next turn. Now we're at 7, so we're in good shape. As long as, I don't know. It'd be nice if they didn't do anything here, or if they don't really want to Faithless Looting though, because they have to discard 2 cards. So they're really not doing much. Oh, that's wonderful. There's nothing we really do about that. Interesting. What just happened? I am going to take that because we're. Oh, he must have messed up. Okay. Well, I don't know what happened there. That was definitely
isn't a fight over though.
A good situation for him. Expressive iteration. Look at the top of your cards. Put one in your hand. Yeah, go ahead. Really, ideally, what I want to do here is search and find another Absorb. Or Rest in Peace, and just end this game. Rest in Peace ends this game right now. They are done. Their Drakes mean nothing, the Phoenixes are gone. Lightning Axe only does to target creatures, that's not a problem. I'm not trying to do anything with my creatures. If they Faithless Looting here, I don't care about Brainstorm. I'm only going to Memory Lapse a big spell, but they only have 3 lands, so I'm not sure what they're going to be doing here. It's going to be Drake and Phoenix are 4. I really just want to, ideally, Azcanta for a Rest in Peace. I mean, they have, what, 20 cards in the graveyard? Yeah, that's just, like, good game. And I already flipped this. If I can find that, it's over. They can play Faithless Looting. MLD. This is definitely a good way to showcase the deck. Again, I don't really care. I want to search. And the fact that they're not doing anything on this turn, that's great. And then my cage is somehow still there. I don't know what he did to mess that up. But this would definitely be a Phoenix turn. If he has just 1, okay. Not that big of a deal. You can go ahead and do that if you want. Sure.
Do you want me to phase you out of time?
Come out of the grave because of cage. Yeah. Alright, let's get that Rest in Peace, baby. Shark Typhoon's pretty sweet here. Yeah. Let's just. I think we may actually drop the Shark. That's a good win con. do anything major. Start this party. We still have a board wipe if they get crazy. Narset. No, I don't really want Narset. I want to find a absorb. Sharks also give us blockers in case I don't know how they deal with that cage. Yeah, okay, drawing a braid here. We're in good shape. So I'm guessing he's holding up. Can't play Narset, I think that will stop. That doesn't do anything right now. We are really drawing Teferis, huh? I am going to focus on the Ooh, I mean that's pretty devastating, right? Where we at? For 5 lands? Could drop another Teferi, right? Make it 5/5. Yeah, that's worth it, right?
Right on schedule.
These ones have 4 lands here. That's pretty slow. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we want. So we're gonna tap the Azcanta. In case we don't use the absorber, we're gonna absorb Narset for sure. They play Narset. I don't want them finding good cards. And this is why this deck is fun. And whenever you can play one of these down, I'm definitely gonna throw another one down next turn. There's no way they can deal with that. That's a good game. Right now they have a small chance, but it's pretty much over. If they don't do anything major here, we just I don't really care about. I'd rather absorb this than Narset. This Narset will just jump the Shark. I'm gonna get 1 card out of it. That's probably the game right there. Tapped out.
Present and future, keep an open mind.
I mean, I don't see how they overcome this. I mean, slapping down a Shark is one of the funnest things to do in Magic. Especially when you're holding it. Oh yeah,
you know what?
Whoops. Yeah, it didn't matter. It was late. And I was about to play another Shark for 6/6 too, so. Yeah, and if you look at this, what we have 5, 9 lands. Yeah, you always attack first, so you can draw the card. But I mean, either way, it was about to go down. But that's an example of what this deck does. The cage is enough. Otherwise, if I didn't have a cage, this matchup would have been hell. I would have had to play that Authority early, which would have meant another chance not to get a land. The Authority does help stall them, gain a little life. They can't do their little shenanigans with Phoenix. They can't attack that turn at least. You know, it shows why this card's so good. Getting that absorb in the Shark. I mean, that's a good example. Like, we had no lands to start off. It was rough, but we were able to come through just because of cage and protecting the cage. I don't know what they did that one turn. I do think it would have been closer, but I still think we had turned the corner. Still only had the 1 Phoenix. So cool. Well, I still think it's one of the best decks. And then in best of 3, we just bring in our second cage and our Rest in Peace and our Seal Away. Another board wipe. Let's see, in that matchup. like most of the things I want to bring up. This, Timely, Brazen, Cage, Disputes. Narset, so they can't draw. I probably bring in Saw It Coming. And these two as well. And I'd probably take out my Baffling Ends. Yeah, this sort of gets tough. Trawler does do really good against them, but again, it's like expensive card. I don't know what I would take out. I may actually take this out and put in Mystical Disputes and the Saw It Comings, just because I want to actually counter things. Like that doesn't do a lot because they're just playing little spells. So you just have to cast it. So I don't know. That is tough. I'd have to figure that out. I'm gonna wrap that up for today because I gotta do adult stuff. But peace out.